What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 18 of the Hoop Venue podcast. My name is Tyler. As always, I'm joined by my great friend Sean. It's been over a week since we recorded, so the first thing I want to ask Sean is, Sean, how was your holiday season, man? We took a week off, enjoyed some time with family, whatever. How was your holiday season, man? And I'm excited to get back to this.
I'm also excited to get back. I had a pretty good holidays, man. Hope you did as well. And glad you guys seemingly enjoyed the last episode where we talked about the top 10 scorers and had a professional yap off for, what was that, 2 hours, I think?
Yeah, it's like almost 2 hours.
Yeah, freaking Avengers movie runtime there. But no, really excited to get back and into the swing of things and get in ready for 2025. How was your holidays, bro?
It was great, man. I had a great time. If you can tell in my voice, anyone listening, I got a little bit under the weather on Christmas Day, of course. This is like the fourth Christmas in a row that I've gotten something. And so I was a little bit bedridden a couple days ago, but I'm getting back into the swing of things now. I'm pretty much back to normal. I just have this, the grogginess, the scratchiness, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I had a great holiday nonetheless. And as you mentioned, our last episode was actually our best performer, so thank you guys all for listening to that, watching the full 2 hours. What's funny about that episode is before we started recording, Sean had the idea of like including 3 other topics and then doing the top 10 scorers. And I was like, I think we're just going to have to dedicate one episode because I feel like this could go for a while. I wasn't thinking 2 hours. I wasn't thinking Christopher Nolan, but I mean, might as well at that point. But yeah, man, like I said, that was a really fun episode. I'm excited to get back into the swing of things after an extended week-long break. Breaking news since we've been gone. Was that this morning that the trade happened, I think?
Yep, this morning.
Dorian Finney-Smith to the Lakers for D'Angelo Russell. I think the full trade was what? Russell, Maxwell Lewis, 3 seconds for Finney-Smith and Shake Milton.
Yep.
You're a Lakers fan. Your point of view, you've been talking about it all day. What are your big takeaways from the trade on the Lakers side?
I think the 2 biggest things to take away is, one, this reasserts their belief in Austin Reeves, like completely reasserts their belief in Austin Reeves. And Reeves has played really well. He's coming off of back-to-back games where he had a triple-double on Christmas Day. No Anthony Davis for essentially the entire game. He tweaked his ankle pretty early and never came back. And then LeBron doesn't play against Sacramento last night. And he has, 26 and 16, a career high in assists. So this reasserts their belief in Austin as, just the guy for right now in terms of primary facilitating and on-ball responsibilities, not named LeBron James. And then secondly, I think this is huge for them in terms of getting a guy like DFS that's a playoff caliber player, which I think this team just needed more of. And they were able to do that without trading any of their first-round picks, and they still have tradable salaries elsewhere to where they can make a second move either right now or let the team continue to get healthy, and then near the February 6th trade deadline, you throw in some of those more other tradable salaries. And, they have 2 first-round picks. They have a couple pick swaps they can throw in. So I think that those are and we can kind of, take the conversation from there. But from a Lakers standpoint, getting playoff caliber players and reasserting, I think, their belief in Austin, the 2 biggest takeaways from that move.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. I think with Finney-Smith, a lot of people are going to look at these Brooklyn numbers. They're going to look at the film of what he's doing in Brooklyn and use that to kind of draw conclusions on who Finney-Smith is as a player. And I think, of course, that makes the most sense. I mean, things can change over the years. I think the role he's going to be playing in LA is very close to what he was playing in Dallas. But it's been, 3 years, 3 seasons. It's going to be a different player.
Yeah.
The thing is, Brooklyn was using him in a very unique kind of way. I'm pretty sure he's listed as a center this year. I know he spent more time guarding centers than wings with his time on the Nets this season. And even on offense, they're using him as a dribble handoff hub, in the middle of the floor. And it's because they throw out these really weird lineups with Ben Simmons, Cam Johnson running the front court spots instead of a traditional 5 like Nick Claxton. And I think Finney-Smith's been in this weird role that kind of made people, I don't want to say forget, but but kind of overlook the stuff he does bring to the table. Like when he's at his best, he's one of the better isolation wing defenders in the league. And that's huge because we're looking at a team in the Lakers that's had a bottom 10 defense all season. They desperately need guys who make second efforts. That's what Finney-Smith does. They desperately need isolation wing depth because as it currently stands, their two go-to like forward defenders are LeBron and Hachimura. That's just not tenable without Vando, of course, because Vando just doesn't exist anymore. They desperately need that guy. And one thing that you didn't mention that I know you've been excited about is the ascension and the trust in Max Christie to be that guy at the point of attack. And that means Finney-Smith won't have to come in and play the point of attack role. Yeah. He can do what he does best as a wing stopper, as a helper behind the play. He's a great helper. The one big problem is that he's a very weak rebounder, but he's probably going to be sharing a lot of his minutes with LeBron and AD, two of the better rebounders in the league. So that doesn't really, I'm not really worried about that. I think defensively it just makes sense. The fit makes sense. You've got two capable point of attack guys, in my opinion, with Gabe Vincent and Max Christie. Do what you want with those guys on offense. I actually think Max has looked pretty good. I don't know about Gabe. I'm still not sold on that. But Austin Reeves, I think we both said, isn't a terrible defender. He just happened to be overtasked in that initial starting lineup because he was the guy they were relying on at the point of attack to contain the ball. And it's just like, Austin Reeves cannot be your number one ball container. But now he's going to be, number 3 in that starting lineup if Finney-Smith slots in. So, that's awesome. I think offensively, Finney-Smith is pretty much just going to be exclusively asked to stand there and make threes. Yeah. That's pretty much his role. And that's where things get a little bit questionable for me because his shooting has been so up and down over the years, I don't really know what to make of it. Like this year, he's been an absolute flamethrower. But the last 2 years in Brooklyn, he's only made about 34% of his catch and shoot threes and about 35% of his wide open threes, which is not bad, but not what you want from a guy who's just there to shoot. But then you go back to the Dallas years and we're talking about a 40% shooter, even better, 42, 43% in the playoffs.
Yeah. He's shooting the lights out this year too.
Yeah. And so that's what makes it tough because it's I know he had a wrist injury, which could have played into factor.
That would have been last year, right?
Yeah, it was either last year or the year before. He had a wrist injury and it was a down year shooting the ball. And then obviously shot quality. Obviously he mostly takes open threes already, but there's something to be said about the rhythm of you're consistently getting an open three. Within the Brooklyn offense, it's more so Finney-Smith is going to be helped off of, he's going to be left open, and in that sense, he's going to get some open threes. In LA, it feels like you're going to have guys actively creating, pulling in the defense, and creating more of a rhythm for their spot-up shooters, and I just think Finney-Smith can really benefit from that. So, in my opinion, I really like the move on the Lakers side. Is there anything else on the Lakers side that I missed?
I do want to add a couple of things here. So going back to your point about being used properly defensively. This season, 31% of the time Dorian Finney-Smith is guarding centers. 25% of the time he's guarding power forwards or whatever. 9.9% of the time he's guarding threes. 19% of the time he's guarding twos. 13% of the time he's guarding ones, right? If you go back to that year in Dallas, his last year in Dallas, 21-22, which this is the conference finals year. 12% of the time he's guarding bigs, 21% of the time he's guarding fours, 19% of the times he's guarding threes, 26% of the times he's guarding twos, and 19% of the times he's guarding ones. I don't even think it looked like that because that still kind of resembles a point of attack type build where I'm guarding ones and twos primarily. But still the versatility that he has there to primarily guard 1 through 4, and if we're in small ball scenarios, which I don't really expect him to be in a ton of those, maybe I'll guard a 5 a little bit more often. But the thing I kind of harped on a lot earlier was the team just makes a lot more sense from a role standpoint where it's, all right, AD is just AD, right? There isn't a category to put him in. He's Anthony Davis on both ends of the floor. Your primary initiators offensively are LeBron James and Austin Reeves, right? Your just knock down open shots guys is Don Connect or Hachimura. Make open shots, be offensive specialists, if you will, right? And then your play defense, hit shots, and that's it. Literally don't need anything else from you. Just make 2 catch and shoot threes and play some defense. That's Max Christie and Dorian Finney-Smith. there isn't, and then I mean, you get Vando back, and now Vando will be your defensive specialist or whatever. Gabe, I'm not quite sure what Gabe is right now. Play, serviceable defense to be an okay secondary playmaker, I guess, offensively. I don't know. Like you said, the Gabe thing still hasn't quite panned out yet, but I mean, at the very least, it is starting to make a little bit more sense with how the roster is getting put together. I still think they need some more athleticism in the backcourt. I've kind of harped on that a lot too. But Dorian Finney-Smith makes a lot of sense for this team. A lot of Laker fans really want them to trade Vando now, and I'm not on the same boat as trading Vando, because as good as Max has played recently, as good as Dorian, assuming this is Dorian Finney-Smith that we expect when he gets to LA, as good as Dorian is defensively, is solid and serviceable. Gabe and Austin, all these other guys are. Vando and a little bit Cam Reddish too. They provide something that nobody else on the roster has defensively, and that's defensive playmaking and just be able to wreak havoc and force turnovers and be a pain for an opposing offense where you can just blow up stuff single-handedly. And it just gives you more lineup versatility and depth. I'm not a proponent of trading Vando unless it is just a ridiculous deal. So yeah, I like DFS a ton, and this makes a lot of sense for LA.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna look to trade a guy from the Lakers to flip for another move, my pick would be Rui. And I don't know how many teams are looking to trade for Rui, but I think he's on
I don't think they're trading for Rui either. I don't think they're giving him up. They love Rui.
That's true.
Have a fetish for Rui, excuse me, but
he's getting paid $17 million a year, right? I think something like that.
It's upper 17s.
That to me seems like a very tradable contract. You can get some decent guys for that price. And then they also have 2 firsts that do they still have 2 firsts, 2 or 3 firsts?
They have 2 firsts they can trade, and then they have 2 swaps.
Okay. So yeah, there are still assets to go out and make another move. You hinted at it. You were like, I still think they're going to go and make another move. I think it should be centered around Rui and picks, but like you said, they're probably not going to trade Rui. I think now that you have Finney-Smith, to me, Rui is very redundant. I feel like you don't really need that spot on the court.
I agree.
Especially because Rui is maybe the most, I don't want to sound like a hater, but Rui's awareness on defense is just...
And he's gotten better at it. That's the crazy thing. He's improved.
It's just so bad, man. It's just so bad. It's crazy how much differently he'd be viewed if AD wasn't always behind him. It's Rui makes a lot of mistakes on defense, and I think unless you're getting some serious offensive punch, which Rui has his moments, the Memphis series, he has his moments, but I don't think he's a consistent big offensive piece that you can rely on to give you an efficient 17, and that's what you would need with that level of defense. And I guess my take would be use Rui to get some athleticism in the backcourt, because that's what you said they're really lacking. I don't know. Are there any moves or players to target that you have in mind that you'd like to see for the Lakers? Before you answer that, I also want to say my 2 big worries, because I was going through this trade all day today and going through the ins and outs. My 2 big worries for the Lakers moving forward are collective playmaking. I think they lose a lot of that replacing Finney-Smith with D'Lo, and I think, again, that's something where Rui really lacks, and I'd like to see a replacement there. And then my other one is 3-point shooting, because Finney-Smith is a great shooter most of the time. It's kind of been up and down, like I said. Problem is, they're already 28th in 3-point volume. Attempts per 100 possessions. It's 33.9. And now they're losing, their highest volume 3-point shooter? Or, easily their best 3-point shooter, which... D'Lo, again, up and down, pretty streaky, but can give you 40% on 6 attempts a game. So those are my 2 worries. So I guess we'll throw your athleticism in the backcourt. Is there anyone out there that fills the boxes of we get some more playmaking, we get some more 3-point talent, and we're athletic in the backcourt?
I don't know if he fills all 3, but the name that I kept going back to earlier, and it's probably the easiest to get to from a dollar-to-dollar standpoint. The name I kept going back to, and it's funny, we were just talking about him, was Colin Sexton. That's the name that I keep circling back to. And it's because I don't think people's perception of Colin Sexton is completely backwards. I think, and funny enough, again, we were talking about it off camera. he has like the young bull perception or whatever from his early days, like about to join the league and things like that. I mean, I'm not going to say he doesn't play hard, but he is a much better offensive player than he is a defensive player. And I think people think it's flipped. No, he's a way better offensive player than he is a defensive player. He's, I think, +4 true shooting these past 2 seasons. Pretty filled out shot profile this season is actually a little bit lower than last year. I think it's at 4.7 rim attempts per 75 possessions, which would still be higher than damn near every single guard on the Lakers, including D'Lo. Like Austin, I think is at 3 rim field goal attempts per 75. So you get what's that? I can't do math. 75% increase, maybe a little bit less. I don't know.
Quick math.
60% increase. I don't know. You guys get where I'm trying to go. I'm
not in the right frame of mind to be doing these maths, man. You gotta have that ready.
Yeah, my bad. But anyway, then good in the mid range. He's improved a lot as a 3-point shooter. Not D'Lo. Not even going to make that comparison. I think the biggest drawback from Colin Sexton is the playmaking. But the argument would then come to be like, is his secondary playmaking enough to where you combine that with Austin, Braun, and they're still going to run some of their actions with AD? Is that enough combined to say, hey, look, we just have added more athleticism in the backcourt, and we have our wing defenders now? Check ball. We have Braun and AD. Let's get ready for April, May, June, or whatever. Because I don't think they can fulfill all 3 of those needs, and get a backup big too, which Laker fans really want. So. At some point, you just got to say, look, this is what we got. Let's check ball. We address some of the needs.
On your point about Sexton's playmaking, my mind immediately went to like Derek White. Derek White's a good enough playmaker to initiate a lot of their offense and connect the offense when Tatum or Brown creates the initial advantage. I actually think Sexton's a really underrated advantage creator. He's really good at getting into the defense. He does have that pull-up threat from 3 and in the mid-range. He's good at getting to the line. So he definitely puts that pressure on the defense. He can run pick and roll. He can ISO. He can play off of the catch and attack closeouts. So you definitely get a lot of flexibility with Sexton as a guard. I actually think he was easily the most underrated offensive player in the league last year.
He had 25 points per 75 and +4 true shooting.
And it was 6 assists too. And he was shooting 39% from 3, 49% from the field. This year, he's pretty much picked up right where he left off. His scoring volume and assist volume is a little bit down, and I actually would attribute that to more Keontae George supremacy with that offense. They're trying to develop Keontae. But
not really working.
shooting 48% from the field, 44% from 3. So over the last 2 seasons now, let me see what we got. Over the last 2 seasons, he's attempted 458 threes at a 41% clip. That's pretty darn good.
I don't think they do it, but if you told me it was it's essentially you could basically do Rui for Sexton, swap for swap, and Vando gets back healthy. Your playoff rotation is Colin Sexton, Austin Reeves. Not saying this is starting 5, but Sexton, Reeves, Christie, Dawn Connect, Braun, Vando, DFS, AD, and that's your playoff 8. Check ball. What else do you complain about at that point?
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is missing there is a backup big.
Sure.
And then it's bro, ideally you'd get Sexton and Kessler. That would just be.
That'd be chef's kiss.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I do still think, and there's time. Again, the deadline's February 6th. I still believe that was an actual possibility without Utah trying to fleece the Lakers. If that was an actual possibility, I think it would have been done in the I think it would have been done in the summer. I don't even think they would have went to the season with this roster. I think they would have been done it.
I just thought of that because I saw a tweet from Trevor Lane today, and it said it was a trade machine, and it was Sexton and Kessler for Rui, Hood Schifino, Jackson Hayes, and both first-round picks.
Deal.
Done. But does Utah accept that? I don't know. I don't.
I think LA's tried that. Honestly, that's not me.
Probably.
That's not me. Confirming it. I'm just saying again. If that was real, it would have. Because we've been talking about Sexton since July, in Lakerland at least.
Sexton's a hooper, man.
He's a hooper.
I want to see, bro, because He's been so underrated since the moment he stepped in the league. Like year 3, the Cavs sucked, but he was averaging an efficient 24 points.
Yeah.
And that was just like viewed as empty calories.
Yeah.
And then he goes into Utah. By the way, I just pulled it up. Since joining the Jazz, he's attempted 583s and made 40.3%.
Like, at what point do we just say he's a good shooter? I mean, he's a good shooter.
Legitimately good shooter, good 2-point scorer who utilizes multiple levels. He's good. He's a good finisher at the rim. He's got the floater range.
Good enough playmaker, like you said.
55% from 10 to 16 feet this year. Like, dude, just a genuinely great offensive player.
Please go get Colin Sexton.
Yeah,
and my argument is really quickly with the backup big thing. I kind of got some flack for this, but I said I'm prioritizing a guy like Sexton if I had to pick, because let's say AD gets hurt, your season's screwed regardless. There's not a backup big that's saving you. So go get the guy that can really stop the thing that like could really hurt you. Like, okay, I know LA, gave Memphis, for example, some troubles when they played the other night for like Memphis's, wheel type of offense. But in a hypothetical playoff series, Marcus Smart, Vince Williams Jr., and all those guys that they could throw at Austin Reeves, that is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Or Denver, even Russ and Christian Brown, or in OKC. Oh my God, OKC, Lou Dort, Caruso, Kaysen, Shea. Like, go get some athleticism back there that can at least help Austin out a little bit, not have the entire burden on Austin. I don't want to sound like I'm lessening Austin's impact, but that's the thing that come playoff time, I see it right now, that is going to happen, and that people are going to be, oh, man, Austin's not that good. No, they just ignore the fact that there's no body that can, like, create for themselves whatsoever in that backcourt, not named Austin Reeves. So I would argue that is more something that's more important than a backup big if I have to pick one.
Yeah, and not to make this just an entire Lakers episode, but I wanted to ask you one more thing. How have you felt about Christian Coloco's minutes?
They're whatever. He's been fine. He's been a serviceable, like, 5 minutes inning eater in moments where, like, AD needs a quick breather, or the Lakers small ball, Braun or Rui at the 5 stuff doesn't work. He's been fine. It's nothing much for me to, like, get excited about.
The only reason I thought of that is because, like, when AD went down in that game that you were referencing with the ankle, I don't know, what game was that? Was that Christmas?
Golden State Christmas.
Christmas, yeah. I thought Coloco came in and, like, played well. I was like,
he played well, but then they immediately go to small ball Rui, so, like, didn't even matter really in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So I kind of agree with you. I want to quickly touch on the Nets side of this trade. I think it was a big contract thing. I saw they freed up just a boatload of cap space by doing it in the way that they did. And I saw someone talking about, like, the question we should be asking is, what is Brooklyn trying to do? Because they're now, like, positioning themselves better than anyone in the league to, like, get, like, a supermax player. And does that mean Giannis? Does that mean, I don't know. I don't know what that means, who's going to be available, or if that's even the goal, or if they're just going to stack their team with a bunch of 20 mil guys. I really don't know. But big things to look for on that side are what they're planning to do. Like, I think we'll learn a lot based on the trades they continue to make. Like, if they deal Cam Johnson, if they deal, I don't even know who else they could deal. Cam Thomas, I guess, Nick Claxton. Like, they have a lot of guys that contenders would probably want. So I think that's something to track. I think another thing is D'Angelo Russell. What is he in the last year of his deal? I believe
last year of his deal.
I don't know if he's going to be a buyout target or if he's going to try and play himself into a bigger contract, because for all of D'Lo's flaws, I do still think he's a winning player. Like, I definitely think he's a plus player. I just think the Lakers was a bad situation for him in that they didn't really have any backcourt defense or athleticism. So D'Lo being a lesser athletic, lesser defender backcourt player just kind of made his issues jump out to the forefront. But, like, I think D'Lo had his moments, and I think as a playmaker, as a shooter, you definitely have some plus qualities there. Where he's going to end up if a team tries to buy him out, I don't really know, but I think that's something interesting to track. So if I'm looking at Brooklyn, I'm looking at, okay, what are they trying to do with all this cap space, and what's going to be the story for D'Lo? Is he going to play his heart out, make the Nets kind of competitive and play for a contract, or buyout, goes to a different contender, and we see him in the playoffs? I really don't know. Do you have any strong thoughts on the Nets side?
They have a lot of picks and a lot of cap space to work with. That is super important. They have their coach of the future. I think I really, really like Jordi Fernandez a ton.
Yeah.
I think with the D'Lo thing, I will just add this. For an 82-game sample, like in the right situation, D'Lo's a really, really good player, I think. And I think, not to regurgitate what you just said, but I think he does a lot of the things that you would want from your starting point guard. Can shoot the three, can run the offense really, really well. Has good chemistry with his bigs, admittedly, I think. Like, his chemistry with AD was really, really good. And in some capacity, you'd hope to see if he could, revitalize Nick Claxton a little bit. I think with D'Lo, I don't know if – I think the best thing for him would probably be I honestly think the best thing for D'Lo would be trying to get bought out and trying to, prove himself in a winning situation. Because I don't think D'Lo playing his heart out in Brooklyn and making them semi-competitive would do anything for his stock except kind of further add on to the narrative that, okay, cool, but, can you actually help a contending team come playoff time?
Yeah.
And I think the narrative is no because of your skill set and how you play, where I think if I'm D'Lo, I'm like, all right, cool, I appreciate the opportunity here in Brooklyn, but if I sense there's any interest from a team that feels like they need a secondary creator or another point guard on their team, I'm going to try to go and get there, try to help them compete and contend, and then I try to get my bag this summer. I think getting in an environment where he can prove he can, in a playoff setting, more importantly, that's the most important thing, in a playoff setting, that I can consistently contribute to a winning environment, that is more important than playing his heart out in Brooklyn, in my opinion.
Are there any playoff teams you look at and say, hey, I think D'Lo would be a good fit there?
That's the problem, I guess. Off the top of my head, not really.
Yeah, I can think of two. I
I have one maybe that's sneaky. What's yours?
Who's your one?
Maybe I have two, but I don't think they would do it. So my one, the first team that popped out, they play their guys into the damn ground, though. New York, low-key, I could see. That would be kind of cool.
Okay.
D'Lo going to New York, being the guy off the bench to give Brunson some
basically
burn.
playing campaign's role.
Yeah.
I could see it. I didn't even I didn't think of them at all.
That was the first team that popped into my head.
My first was the Miami Heat. I think they brought in Terry Rozier.
Culture.
They brought in Rozier
Okay.
to be their pick and roll ball handler, and then he just wasn't. He just wasn't.
Okay.
He just wasn't that. And I can see D'Lo coming in and being that guy for them. But also, it's kind of funky because Hero has kind of become that guy for them. So, yeah, so I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I think the main one, though, that I didn't really think of that would actually be an awesome fit to me is the Clippers. Because they've been using KPJ as their backup point guard. Are you kidding me? He's terrible.
That's nasty.
He's terrible.
That's nasty.
So, yeah, if you can get D'Lo in that backup point guard role, and then when Harden's off the bench, you got a D'Lo and Kawhi offensive punch. That's kind of tough.
That's tough.
Against bench units. I kind of like that.
And then they have the athleticism to put next to D'Lo to where you can hide some of those deficiencies too. Yeah.
Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah.
I think the D'Lo and Zubats dynamic would look really, really good.
D'Lo and who?
That would be. What'd you say?
You said D'Lo and who dynamic?
Zubats.
Oh yeah.
D'Lo please do. Yeah. That'd be a really good dynamic. So, yeah, that'd be the one I'm looking out for because then he'd kind of stay in LA, just play for the Clippers. And that'd be fun. Could you imagine we get a Lakers and Clippers playoff series with D'Lo on the Clippers?
Bro, my guy Jamal Christopher just put a tweet out or something about how the Lakers and Clippers are the 4th and 5 seeds right now, and I'm low key, I would still kind of be down to the league should probably be excited to finally get Lakers Clippers in a playoff setting. That would be.
We didn't have this on the agenda, but I want to give a special shout out to the Clippers because they're 18-13 right now. They've won 6 of their last 10. They're a legitimately good team, and Kawhi Leonard's about to return in 5 days, something like that. He's back pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, depending on what he looks like, this could be a really scary team because they've figured out they have a formula. That defense is just so good and so flexible, so versatile. They've got size and athleticism like you talked about. They've got one of the best playmakers on the planet. If they just add a 30-point per game playoff scorer, all of a sudden we're talking about just an absurdly good team.
Norman Powell is probably like most improved player. Like
who would be the most improved player right now?
It's got to be him, I think.
I feel it's so weird to give it to like a 30-year-old though. Like has that ever happened?
That's fair. But like they got some guys, man. Like Kawhi coming back. Norman Powell's balling. Zubac is also having a kind of the breakout year.
Yeah.
Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn. Like, yeah, literally just add. Like, let Kawhi come back and be a top 10 player.
Right. Like, if they just get last year's version of Kawhi, they're one of the best teams in the league, easily. Didn't I say that, like, last time we talked about this, because we kind of talked about it. We haven't talked about the Clippers since. I said if Kawhi comes back and is the same player as last year, I think the Clippers are the second or third best team in the West. I don't know if
we like concretely said that, but I do think we like had the conversation.
I remember I took them over Denver.
Yeah, I think you did take them over Denver.
I took them over Denver. I think the tough ones for me, I think they'd be looped right in with like Dallas and Memphis. I don't know what to do with that group.
Yeah.
But it'd be like OKC 1, then it'd be like Dallas, Memphis, Clippers, and then it'd be what? Denver, Lakers, Suns, Warriors, I don't know. The Timberwolves, all those Rockets, all those teams. You know who wouldn't be in that group? Moving on. The Sacramento Kings. I can officially say I was wrong.
Yes.
I remember I thought they were going to be like a 50-win team. I didn't expect them to be dangerous in the playoffs, but I thought they won 48 games 2023, 46 games last year. I thought they were going to be like a 49, 50-win team and then just be like not a huge playoff threat. No. They're 13 and 19, and they've lost 6 straight. They just fired Mike Brown. De'Aaron Fox, the way they're covering De'Aaron Fox in the media right now sounds to me like someone who's about to get traded or something's about to blow up. I also want to say I was wrong. I victory lapped the DeMar DeRozan trade.
Like in 5 games in. Yeah.
In one of our episodes, we were like 7 games in, and I was like, stop overthinking talent.
Yeah. Had that whole discussion.
Let's overthink talent, all right, because the Kings are not good. And I missed the mark on that one, so that's on me, man. It's on me, Kings fans. If I put faith in your heart, I'm sorry. Sorry to crush it, but yeah. What's your take on the Mike Brown situation and then what that means for the Kings moving forward?
The Mike Brown thing was a joke. Specifically how they handled that. It's just such bad. It reminds me, I hate that this is such a Lakers-centric thing and I'm making this about the Lakers. But when the Lakers fired Frank Vogel, it wasn't the fact that they fired Vogel or whatever, and this is a little bit different than that, obviously, but they fired him at the very end of the game. He found out because of a Woj tweet, right? And then he had to go and do a press conference after the fact. And him doing that actively cost them like Quinn Snyder and Nick Nurse, because neither one of those guys wanted anything to do with the Lakers after the way they handled that. And the way the story got broke, correct me if I'm like missing any of the details, Mike Brown ran a full practice, did a full press conference, the plane to go to LA, I don't know why they didn't, like, I don't know how far the drive is, but, you know, that I don't know. The plane to go to LA is about to depart in 15 minutes, and that's when they tell Mike Brown they're going to fire him. Like,
sounds about right, yeah.
That's a joke. If I am a hot head coaching candidate, why in the hell do I have any interest to coach for the Sacramento Kings now? De'Aaron Fox seems like he wants to get out of there anyway. The front office, in terms of roster building and roster management and construction, seems like a complete joke how they built this roster around De'Aaron Fox. And, like, it's not like we're an attractive spot to be in necessarily. You just fired your best coach in literally 2 decades.
Since Rick Adelman.
Since Rick freaking Adelman. why do I have any interest to coach for you if I'm David Adelman, right? Or Chris Quinn, or any of these other guys that are next up, if you will, in air quotes. So how they handle that whole situation is a joke. And then, oh God, shocker, every single problem that was on display the night before or whatever Mike Brown was still employed is the exact same issue the night after, or when they played LA. Like,
Yeah.
It's essentially a Malik Monk for their spacing. They can't really shoot that well. They don't play the guy that can play defense and shoot, in Keon Ellis, which we've never understood.
Doesn't make sense.
They don't play hard at all defensively. It's a layup line when you face the Sacramento Kings defensively. And it's just a mess. It's just a mess. The whole situation is a mess. They're a joke of a franchise for handling it like this. And, it's a mess.
Dude, the Keon Ellis thing is so funny to me because I've built like a really good rapport with Kings Twitter. Like, I've always been I've been a big Kings guy with all my content, with the way I cover them, the way I talk about them. They all know I love the Kings. And so it's funny, I have a lot of mutuals that are Kings fans. And the way they talk about Keon Ellis is the way we talk about him. Like, it's like, why in the world is he not in the game? Like, he's their best perimeter defender. He's their best spot up three-point shooter. They lack in both of those areas, and he doesn't play. It is the most absurd thing, and I'm like, if that's a Mike Brown problem, I get it, but I don't think it is. Like, I don't think Mike Brown's deliberately going, yeah, I'm not going to play Keon Ellis. It seems to me like it's something different and maybe a little bit deeper than that. I could be wrong. He could start playing 30 minutes a game after Mike Brown got fired. I don't really know, but one thing that I've seen a lot circulating on Twitter, because if you remember, Mike Brown was Coach of the Year 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a list. It was a list of all of the Coach of the Year since like 2017 and how they all were fired like 2 years later. And the only one that hasn't been fired is Tom Thibodeau, which the rules don't apply to that guy. So like last decade, since
even
Steve
if you go
Kerr,
further than that, yeah, I was about to say like it's Steve
Kerr was 16. Who was the Coach of the Year in 15? It was Budenholzer for the Hawks, right?
Yep.
It had to have been. And then 14 was, I feel like 14 had to be Pop. It had to be Pop.
Yeah.
It
So
had
essentially, Pop, Steve Kerr. Is Bo not won one?
He hasn't won a single one. No, okay. Yeah, and then 2013 was George Karl for the Nuggets. He ended up getting fired like 3 years later.
Yeah.
So, all that's to say, Coach of the Years always get fired. And I find it so funny because it's the most obvious explanation ever. Do you remember when you and I talked? We did our award predictions before the season. And I said, hey, Coach of the Year is literally always given to the team that overperforms expectations the most.
Yep.
I remember that was like my word for word what I said. And actually, Ben Taylor, Thinking Basketball, they did a whole podcast on this. And we're literally talking about like Coach of the Year. They like went and did all the data, like went to the Vegas odds and all this. And they were like, literally every year, it's the team that overperforms the most. They just accredit the coach. And what's so funny, so that's why my two picks were what? Quinn Snyder and Taylor Jenkins, I think. And I was like, I think the Grizzlies and Hawks are both going to play really well, which looking kind of good. So I might have been wrong about the Kings, but I'm glad I was on board with the Grizzlies and Hawks.
How has Spo never won one? I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's like my immediate thought right now.
It's got to be. Yeah, he should have won 13 over George Karl.
He should have won 13.
I think it's because Spo's like a playoff coach. Like, he's a playoff mastermind. We all know it. But like in the regular season, I don't know. A regular season Coach of the Year, I guess because the Heat have never overperformed expectations, like I said. But like going back to that, that's what the Coach of the Year always is. And so what happens is these teams really overperform their expectations. And the coach gets credit. They're like, yo, coach, you did that. You made this team exceed expectations. You are the Coach of the Year. Then in the following years, they have a new expectation. So say a team is expected to win 34 games and wins 50. From now on, the expectation is 50 wins.
Yep.
So if they don't reach the new expectation, they just go back to what they were supposed to be. Now the coach gets blamed. The coach, it's like, you underperformed with this group. Now you're on the hot seat. And it's so funny how you just look historically. That's literally always the case. Like, I think The one where it maybe wasn't the case was 2018 Dwayne Casey. Like, he won Coach of the Year, and then it was a playoff disaster, and then they fired him. He got fired in the same season he won Coach of the Year, which is like a complete anomaly. But then you look after that, and it's like Nick Nurse, the Raptors started to fall off a cliff, and then he was in the hot seat. 2022, Monty Williams, same thing. They won 64 games. That was the new expectation. They went back to a normal playoff team. Monty Williams gets fired. It's really interesting. Mike Budenholzer with the Bucks, same exact thing. Mike Budenholzer with the Hawks, same exact thing. It just keeps happening over and over. And yeah, to me, it's just like that's what happened with Mike Brown.
What happened to my Mark Daigneault? No,
Mark Daigneault. I think he's safe. He's safe, and it's because the Thunder didn't actually overperform. People just missed the mark on them.
Yeah,
like the Thunder were just better than people realize, and now they're going to win like 65. And that's that. So, yeah, it's just funny to me. The Kings weren't supposed to win 48 games that season. They did. That's the new expectation. Now they're a bad team. It's Mike Brown's fault.
Yeah,
it's just so funny to me. I just don't agree with that line of thinking. But to move on to a more like positive line of thinking, because that was a pretty negative segment.
Treat your coaches better.
Cade Cunningham is playing like a superstar. I'll let you take the floor on this one because you were very high on him and the Pistons coming into the season. What have you seen from Cade? How are you feeling about his season?
Cade's he's so good. And it's crazy because I think he can get even better. And there is, all right, it feels weird that I'm starting off on a negative point here. But it is weird. And I wonder, when do we just get to the point where we were just like, is he just a bad finisher at the rim? Because
we talked about this.
He's at 53% at the rim this season. If you look at, he's still getting there. He's still getting there at a pretty good clip. 6.4.
He's a really good driver. He just doesn't convert.
Which tanks some of the true shooting stuff a bit. Anybody that complains about the turnovers, I think turnovers for a high volume playmaker is, I don't really care. Kind of the reason why I oftentimes gloss over Trey's turnover woes, because you're touching the ball 112 times a game. Okay, whoop-de-doo, you have 4 turnovers out of those 112 possessions. Go crazy. Don't have 10, but, go crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do want to start the conversation with that. Is there anything you've seen? Like, are we just at the point where you're like, yeah, just Cade's just a bad rim finisher?
Yeah, my take was, we talked about this last time. I was like, it was the same thing with a young Donovan Mitchell, and I remember we pulled up the numbers. Young Donovan Mitchell was really good at getting to the rim, but didn't really convert. And then there was one season, I believe it was 2021, where he just took a massive leap as a rim finisher. And I think it was, not only did he improve his touch, he improved his timing a lot with like the way he'd use strides, the way he'd use his body to initiate contact and create separation. I think Cade already has some of those tools. I think he's good at using his body. I think his touch is there. Like, I don't think that's the problem, because you look at like those jump hooks he goes to out of the post. Serious touch on those. And so I don't think it's a problem where it's like he just can't make layups. I think a lot of it does come down to like timing and picking his spots as a finisher. I think Cade has a tendency to like force himself into really awkward angles from the floor. And then if you were to look at shot quality numbers on Basketball Index, they'd probably already tell you that Cade has a very, very low shot quality, but that's primarily based off of like how close a defender is. That isn't necessarily consider like what angle your body's at. All that weird stuff, like what your momentum looks like. And I think Cade's, if you just accounted for all of that, Cade probably has the worst shot quality at the rim in the league, because I just think the shots he takes at the rim are ridiculously tough. And that is a skill issue. I think that's something that he can work on, and something that it falls on him ultimately, because he's the one forcing himself into these tougher looks. Some of it, of course, is spacing, and the Pistons, while improved with the spacing, still don't have a bunch of just knockdown shooters and crazy concepts. Like, the paint is still packed at times, but to me, it's that. And I think that is something that can get better. So I'm not ready to write him off as a rim finisher just yet. I think right now, if we're evaluating him in the current, bad finisher at the rim, just unequivocally not a good finisher at the rim percentage-wise. But if we're looking at like long-term outlook, I do think it's something that he could improve on in the same way Donovan Mitchell did.
Yeah. If you look at B-ball index, he has the 9th worst overall shot quality in the entire league.
Wow.
And if you just look at specifically rim shot quality, he has the worst overall rim shot quality.
That doesn't shock me at all.
In the league. Now, everything else outside of that, man, from a self-creation standpoint, Cade's just insane, bro.
The way the pull-up three has already come along like this, dude.
Shooting 40% on pick-and-roll threes this season.
Ridiculous.
Insane.
Doesn't get to the line at a super high rate, but decent. We talked about it. Gets to the rim at a high rate, and we've always talked about, even if you're a bad finisher, quote-unquote, at the rim, a bad shot at the rim is still a really good shot. Because bad percentage at the rim means you're shooting like 56 to 60%. That's a good shot. And so Cade being able to get there is more important than the fact that he isn't converting a lot of the time. And then that creates downhill pressure. That's what creates those 10 assists per game. But it's all about the mid-range with Cade.
Yeah.
Just surgical mid-range scorer. The height, the way he uses pace to pick his spots, the way he uses his shoulders to bump and create separation. The guy's a legit 3-level scorer. That's also a great passer.
Cade's one of the guys that I think I've told this story before. I just don't recall if it was here or not. So in the offseason, when I was doing my preseason, deep dive or power ranking series or whatever, it requires obviously watching film for all these teams. And Cade Cunningham's probably the guy that single-handedly, like, my perception, I always thought Cade was good. But Cade's probably the guy that I think you just have to actually watch Cade. And, it's tough because the Pistons haven't always been the most watchable team. But actually watch a Cade game and watch how he manipulates space and plays with incredible pace out of ball screens or whatever. And I came out of that, like, Pistons watch. I was like, man, like, how many guys do I just want to watch play out of a ball screen more than Cade right now? And there's not a lot of them. Like I said, the way how crafty he is in the mid-range, I mean, like you said, it's just surgical. And you add on future improvements as a rim finisher, and then you got like unstoppable scorer. Because I think honestly, playmaking wise, I think he's like taken that next step as a playmaker, where he legitimately is like a surgeon in terms of picking apart defenses. Not only is he getting into his spots, but he's making you pay for putting two on the ball. He can make every single pass in the book. To the point where I don't know where I had him at preseason wise, like playmaking. Like I would have to like go back. I mean, I can't go back and like into my old brain or whatever, but like probably have him comfortably right now, like in my top 8 of like best playmakers in the league. Like off the top of my head, Trey's in there, Harden's in there, Jokic is in there, Hallie's still probably in there, Melo, Luka. Oh my god, I didn't say Luka.
Would you say, okay, this is where it's tough for me, because you do still have those like really good passers who are score first but really low error. Like, would you take Cade as a playmaker over Brunson, for example? That's a tough one for me, because Brunson's a very unique playmaker.
Yeah. I think the attraction to Brunson is going to be the fact that like he has the insane amount of touches, but he's so low turnover.
Yeah.
Like, he's not turning it over ever.
You also have like the Dames of the world who just force so many weird coverages and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Steph. Steph also would fall into that scope. Garland is another guy I'd consider up there.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a lot of good playmakers.
There's a lot of good playmakers. But
Ja Morant, did you say Ja?
I didn't say Ja.
Ja Morant, bro. Ja Morant. Dude, there's so many good playmakers in the league right now. So many good playmakers.
I think Cade would be in my top 10. I would have to like really think about it, but I think Cade would be in my top 10.
Too. I think that's a good.
I'd probably take Ja over him, probably.
Yeah, I'd probably have Ja like in my top like 5, dude. Ja's unreal.
I'm taking Cade over Garland. I know people are gonna get mad at me, but I think I'm taking Cade over Braun as a playmaker. Like current day Braun.
Over 82 games, yes.
Over 82 games, yeah.
In
16 games.
In a
Still
playoff
taking
series,
Bron.
it's Bron.
Yeah.
Playoff series, it's Bron.
Who else did you say? I think I'm taking Cade over Garland. I think I'm taking him over Dame
Brunson.
too. I think
Brunson
is tough, but I probably.
Yeah, I mean, he's averaging 10 assists per game.
Yeah.
It's not like we're talking about some low volume, like, this is kind of risky. He's averaging 10 assists a game. Detroit, and that's, I want to give Detroit their credit, but they still don't have a ton of weapons. It's not like Cade's just, like, diming up a bunch of, like.
It's Malik Beasley.
Yeah, and Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey's been hooping, too. I love
Yeah.
Jaden Ivey. But, like, look at Atlanta, for example. DeAndre Hunter's playing out of his mind. Jalen Johnson's a legitimate, like, all-star level offensive player. Who does Cade have like that as options, you know?
It's like real, like, all-star level
and,
options.
and I'm not trying to say Cade's a Trey level passer. No one's saying that. Trey's unreal. But just to put into perspective, like, what Cade is doing with the level of offensive talent by his side is just, it's unreal. It's unreal. And before we move on, I also want to say Cade's been a legitimately good defender this season.
He's much improved defensively.
Yeah, people really overlook that. Like, Cade's awesome, man. Cade's awesome. Moving on, though.
Best year by far in terms of, like, defensive plus minus, like, per EPM by far.
Makes sense. I mean, Detroit's been a pretty good team defense as well, so it makes sense.
Shout out JB.
But, yeah, facts. Yeah. He's a really good. Hey, if they overperform expectations, he's getting fired. So they better start losing some games if he wants to. He wants
to keep his job.
Moving on though.
Such a fun.
You know who
team.
else is playing kind of good? You know who else is playing pretty good?
Wait, are you talking about the guy that's 7'4", but it's too damn bad. He shoots a lot of threes because he's 7'4". He's supposed to be shooting 20 jump hooks a game. And because he's not shooting 20 jump hooks a game, even though he's averaging 25 on like plus efficiency, and probably the runaway defensive player of the year guy right now, despite that, he's not fun to watch because he's not shooting 20 jump hooks a game.
That's the guy. Yeah, that is the guy. Victor Wembanyama, for anyone who didn't understand.
What's wrong with the league. Exactly what's wrong.
You know what's so funny too? As I pulled up Wemby's stats to get into this segment, when I was watching the Spurs and Timberwolves game earlier, Wemby started the game 3 for 10.
Doesn't matter.
3 for 10 in the first half, and now he's 11 of 24. So what? He went 8 for 14 since then, and he has 29 points, and they're in the fourth quarter. So pretty normal Wemby stuff. The guy is an absolute freak. And it's gotten to a point where people on Twitter are debating whether or not he's a top 3 player on the planet. And it is just, yeah, but I get it because
I do get it.
We've never seen anything like this, and it's just breaking the game. It is breaking the game. Like the way he's shooting, the way he's protecting the rim, the way he's passing. On the season, he's averaging 25, 10, and 4, 1 steal, 4 blocks. On 61% true shooting.
So I said plus efficiency, like plus 6 efficiency?
Yeah, and that's accounting for a really, really bad start. Like if you just isolate what his last, how many games has he played on the season? He's played 26. Let's do his last 20 games. Let's just take out the first 6. Let's see. Victor Wembanyama, typing this into the good old stat muse, averages over last 20 games. 27 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 4.5 blocks on 63% true shooting.
Jeez.
What are we doing? The Spurs with him on the court have a +5 net rating, like legitimately good playoff team. With him off the floor, -10 net rating. Just already getting that signal from like what you expect from a player of his caliber. I'm just gonna put you on the spot, dude. I'm gonna put you on the spot. And this might sound crazy, but like this is something I've been like asking myself the last couple days. Is Victor Wembanyama already better than Anthony Davis? Like,
it depends, I guess, on where you what. I'll answer by this, and this might be a cop-out. It depends on what your evaluation prior to the season of AD has been. So if you're like me and you've kind of had AD not in that top 5 range, but like next up, like 6, 7, then my answer would be no. If you're a guy that's kind of been lower on AD, maybe it's because of the offensive the way he generates his offense. Like, he's not a self-created guy a lot of times. He's a play finisher. And his defense, you would argue Wemby's better. Then sure, I think you can make the argument. But I've had AD like 7 essentially. So my answer would be no. But it's up. I think it really just comes down to where you've had AD in the past. Because I think right now, Wemby is probably like a top 10, 11, 12 player in the world already. Which, I mean, yeah. So let's just start there. So for me, my answer would be no, but I can completely understand it being yes based off your previous perception of AD.
Well, the reason I asked that is because when I revitalized my last year's list for the first time this year, it was like a week ago, I ended up with Anthony Davis 7 and Wemby 9th. And I was
that's about where I would have it.
I was like, these two seem so close to me because you have like a very similar archetype of player. Like, idealized play finisher, has creation chops, top whatever defender on the planet. And then I started looking at their numbers and I was like, wait, Wemby this season averaging 25, 10, and 4 on 61% true shooting. Anthony Davis averaging 26, 12, and 4, 60% true shooting. And it's like, okay, raw box score, damn near the exact same production. And then it's like, okay, how do you weed out the differences between their offense? I think AD's a more efficient, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, doesn't turn the ball over as much. I guess like a more lower error player on offense completely. Like, I think he's better without the ball in terms of like understanding his role, positioning himself, and then taking care of the ball when he does have it. I think he does that better than Wemby. But then I'm like, well, Wemby is just this absurd floor spacer because he's 7'4", shooting 10 threes a game at a high clip. And then it's like, does that just like break defenses so much that we're just not even talking about same caliber of offensive player? I don't really know. And then I'm like, what do I do with the defense? Because we still haven't seen Wemby in the playoffs. We still haven't seen AD to see if he has that playoff motor still. So it's like, I don't know. But yeah, that's
about right. Where you had that?
Like, that's where my head's at. Like, Wemby's in that discussion now. And he's freaking 20 years old.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
I put a tweet out about this. Like, you had your moment about the Kings, right? So this is my moment with the Spurs because all off season, I'm seeing guys, a lot of people I respect even, like the Brett Usher on Twitter, talk about Wemby, and it's some other guys as well, and how good Wemby is already, and the Spurs are going to be a playoff team. They'll be a top 6 seed or whatever. I saw that literally all summer, and I took a fat crap on that all summer. Like, there's no way on God's green earth this Spurs team is a playoff team. I just couldn't buy it, regardless of how good Wemby was or is even. And I think this is the biggest reason I think Wemby probably has to be somewhere in the top 10. Like, you had him 9. I have to do mine at some point. Wemby, I still stand my ground on like the overall roster talent. Like, remove Wemby from this roster and put the 23rd best player on this team. This is not a play-in team. This is a bad basketball team, legitimately. But Wemby is already on a different level to where, like, I had him, I think, 18th coming into the year. I think I'm like around 18. I got crap for it.
I think that's where I had him too, like 19, 18.
Yeah. And he's already so good. He's to the point where, like, we are legitimately elevating bad roster talent.
Absurd floor raiser.
Absurd floor raiser. So, Spurs fans, I apologize. Wemby's insane. And I should have like turned my face when you said is Wemby like top 3 or whatever, considering I was the guy that had him in my top 10 scores list, which is also maybe an eye turner, but Wemby's the man. I'm just looking at this. This team's not good. And Wemby is already in the upper echelon of like truly elite floor raisers. Defensively, offensively, like you said, just because he's 7'4" and you hover him around the basket and just like throw the ball in his vicinity and he's gonna catch it and he's gonna finish. Yeah, and it just sucks that, you know, people that have this weird fetish with 2004 basketball can't understand that Wemby is a freak, and he's already top 10. And I promise you no other sport does this. No other sport does this to their clear, game-breaking, like, up-and-coming star. No other league does this.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? It's like if people got mad at Lamar Jackson for running.
Right.
That's like the same thing.
But like even then, like that's actually probably the best thing, the best comp we could think of. But then like even then, like Lamar, it was so good to the point where I think people just kind of realized and just appreciated it eventually. You know what I'm saying?
But you know that's what's gonna happen with Wemby. It's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I hope so. Like this freaking 3-point. Did you see that clip? I think I tweeted it. It's a clip from the Celtics Pacers game the other night, and it's like I think it starts with a Tatum ball screen. They blitz it, so Al Horford short rolls it, and there's like a swing pass in there, and the ball gets skipped out. Jaylen Brown knocks in a wide open corner three.
Yeah, I know exactly which tweet you're talking about.
Yeah, and I'm like, dog, too damn bad. It's not a 20-foot pull up jumper. Like, dog. Why do we want to see 13th man in the rotation shooting 20-foot pull-up jumpers? I don't want to see that.
It reminds me of what I said. I saw a tweet. It was glorifying the beautiful game Spurs, of course, and they were talking about like
that nobody liked, by the way. Everybody hated those teams.
And they were like, this was peak basketball. And I was like, wait, the Celtics, Cavs, and Grizzlies are three teams that play exactly like this. Nobody likes them. Nobody cares. The league sucks. Ratings are down. Which there's so many directions we could take this. Like, why does anyone care what the ratings say? I don't care if the ratings are terrible. The ratings could be 0. I would still be watching.
Yeah.
Why do I care? Like,
that's not our problem.
why do I care if Adam Silver's making money? Like, no offense, Adam Silver, but like, how does that affect me at all?
Right.
Like, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be watching all the games. I'm still going to be making my content because I love basketball. Why would I care whether or not the ratings like basketball? That's not me. That's like if I'm going to watch a movie, I see it as bad ratings, and I'm like, yeah, I don't even like the movie, and I never watched it.
Right.
It's like what am I talking about? And then they have, like, a historic Christmas Day, and now nobody's talking about ratings anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody cares anymore.
Like all-time slate of Christmas that like 5 out of 5. I mean, I'll say 4 out of 4. I did not catch a single second of Suns Nuggets, but like in terms of games, like people enjoying it, it was 5 out of 5. Like all 5 games were elite.
Lakers Warriors was like one of the best games ever.
Yeah, like literally they're classic. Steph hurling shots from the corner, Braun 30-piece, like. Yeah, and like you said, why do we care? And then even if you want to care, the whole ratings thing is very easy in my opinion. It's very it's not like rocket science to, talk about what's the problem. They make it damn near impossible to watch the games. Like it's pretty cut and dry.
I saw someone tweet the other day that they had League Pass and they can't watch Rockets, Mavs, or Spurs
Pelicans. Oh, okay.
Where they're located in Texas.
Yeah,
couldn't watch any of them.
My athletic director for the team I coach for, he can't watch Cavs, Pacers, or Grizzlies games.
Yeah, I can't watch Bulls games. I don't know if I can watch Pacers games. I think I can.
I think I can watch Pacers. Games. I can't watch Cavs games.
And it's stupid. It's stupid. And then it's like League Pass will always be tweaking. Box scores are glitching or bad frame rates or there's always something going on. The nationally televised games you can't watch. Unless you're like watching from the backboard. Have you ever done that? Watch from the backboard?
I've done that before.
It's kind of fire. It's actually kind of fire. I'm not gonna lie. It's like there's
that
no
should be the NBA's version of like coach's cut or whatever.
Yeah.
Where like NFL is all 22. Like that should be the NBA's version of that.
But like, yeah, I just think what Kevin Durant said is what resonates with me. If you are complaining about the state of basketball and like threes being taken and like ratings, you probably just don't like basketball as much as you thought you did.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. And I'll actually bring it back to another point I made. People associate it's nostalgia, right? I used to kind of fall into this boat where I was like, I think the peak NBA was like early 2010s. And then I'm like, wait, no, that's just when I enjoyed, like, I was a kid, man. Like, I was 10 years old in 2013. I thought it was awesome to watch LeBron, Kobe, Kevin Durant, all these guys coming up. And it was like, I just thought that was peak. But then I'm like, wait, no, I'm just being nostalgic about when I was 10 years old and there were no problems. Like, like, life was easy, you know? And it's like, people do that same thing now. They're like, oh, when I was a kid, there weren't this many threes, or the game wasn't this fast, or they actually allowed them to play physical. And they're glorifying a time where when things were easier because nostalgia is just like a hell of a drug. And you know what I compared it to? I compared it to the return of OG Fortnite, because I used to play Fortnite so much, right? Like when it first came out, I was playing it so much. And then when it came back recently, I played it, and I won't lie, I enjoy it. Like, I've been playing it, don't get me wrong. But, like, I realized right away that the game kind of sucked. I was like, the map sucks. There's no heals. There's no, like, mobility. Like, this kind of sucks. And then I'm like, this whole time, I thought OG Fortnite was the best game ever. And then it comes back, and I'm like, okay, now I'm realizing I was just glorifying that time in my life when I was like 14, 15, playing games with my friends, and everything was easy, you know? And I'm like, if a team from 2014 came into the NBA today, we would be thinking that that is the stupidest basketball team ever, and we are questioning what in the world they are doing. And if the entire league just shifted into like 2014 mode, we would be scratching our heads, trying to claw our hair out, going, what are these teams doing? Are they stupid? Why are they not spacing the floor? Why are there two non-shooting bigs? Why are they doing this? And it's like, basketball is just smarter. And I'll tell you right now, basketball has never been better, and it's going to keep getting better. And it's like, either you can evolve your mind to get with the times, or you're just stuck in that nostalgic spot, and good for you. Go watch Kevin Durant versus Kobe Bryant 2010 playoff highlights. You got it. 2012, actually.
2010.
It was both years. They played both years. Yeah, but that's all you, man. But for me, I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to watch a basketball game every single day. I'm going to watch player clips every single day, even without the high-low. Shout out to the high-low. I'm going to still be watching my film. I'm going to still be enjoying. I'm going to still be making content. I don't care what the NBA ratings say. NBA is in a great place right now. I love basketball. That's all it comes down to.
I mean, yeah. Again, the ratings should not be our problem. It isn't our problem. Like you said, could care less how much money. I almost said Rob Pelinka. Jeez, the Lakers are. I could care less how much money Adam Silver's making. The league is like, this is like some of the most fun I've had watching basketball legitimately. And then just like the last thing I'm going to touch on with the whole like the 3-point thing, you got to understand, man, the most of teams, like you said, teams have just gotten smarter, right? And what comes with that is teams understanding that the most efficient shot at basketball is a shot at the rim at the end of the day. That's the best shot in basketball.
Yep.
So logically, as an opposing team, what am I going to try to limit the most? I'm going to try to limit as much as possible you getting a lot of open looks at the rim. So offense is counterpoint to our, okay, cool, we're going to get the defense to collapse, and we're going to spread the floor out with shooting, and we're going to make you pay by shooting probably the second best shot in basketball, which is a paint touch kick out three. That's just how like teams like Tyler said are just smarter. And instead of the alternative being specifically the alternative being for random X role player, instead the alternative being, the defense collapsed, I'm going to shoot a 18-foot, mid-range jumper from the elbow. I'm going to shoot the more efficient shot every single time, which is the 27-foot extended like wing three. And the last point I'm going to add to that, the whole like mid-range is dead thing. Find a superstar or a player, like a real superstar, like a top 15 player on the planet that does not have a mid-range game. I will wait. There isn't one. Jokic dominates in the mid-range. Luka can play in the mid-range. Giannis, I mean, we talked about Giannis' evolution as a player. He's literally taking more long twos than he's ever taken his entire career. Hell, Giannis is the inverse of what I just described. Giannis has taken the least amount of threes of his career and has supplemented those with 22-foot jumpers.
Yeah.
Shea is literally a mid-range god. KD, mid-range god.
You know what's funny? The only guy I can think of is probably Wemby, and it's like, one, complete outlier.
Outlier.
Two, he's starting to develop some of that like short mid-range stuff. Like he's getting the touch shots. He's shooting over guys in face-up situations.
Yeah.
So like an actualized Wemby will have a serious mid-range game.
Yeah.
And so
Like,
it's like, yeah, what are we doing? What are
LeBron, AD, Embiid, Kawhi, Booker, Jalen Brunson.
Mitchell.
Hell, we watch Donovan Mitchell. We watch not a superstar. We watch Mikal Bridges drop 41 on straight middies damn near.
What a game, bro. What a game.
So
That was
all right.
crazy. That was crazy.
We'll talk about the Knicks next episode, Knicks fans.
We will. Knicks fans, we are going to talk about you next episode because you guys have won 7 straight and are looking seriously good. So we will talk about the Knicks. We'll also talk about, there was another team, the Thunder. Talk about the Thunder and probably there was another team.
Was it Memphis until they got shellacked tonight?
Was it Memphis? I don't. Oh, Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
They're
Cleveland.
27-4, and nobody's
Jeez.
talking about Cleveland. So yeah, we'll talk about some of them heavy hitter teams in the next episode.
Garland,
but for
another
now,
mid-range guy.
Yep, that is gonna do it. Appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. My stuff is at Tyler Britton _. You can also find me on YouTube, Hoop Venue. You can find Twitter, Hoop Venue, Instagram, Hoop Venue. That's kind of my main stuff. That's my alias, we'll call it. Sean's YouTube channel is the Sports Headline Show. Do you have another channel, or is that your main channel?
That's the main one for like NBA stuff. That I do have a video playing to kick off the new year, which will just be like me revisiting my power rankings and doing a 2025 one. And then you have the Lakers channel if you're a Laker fan, Los Angeles Lakers Network. That is like the literal name of the channel.
Los Angeles Lakers Network. I wasn't even familiar with that channel, so I'm learning new things too. I'll be your first new sub. Make sure to follow him on Twitter, Sean _DAVI. I believe your Instagram is what, Sean _Davis 23.
Yes, sir.
All right, so yeah, search up Sean Davis, search up Tyler Britton, search up Hoop Venue, search up the Sports Headline Show. You will find all of our great content on all of these platforms. But if nothing else, subscribe to the Hoop Venue podcast, man. We appreciate the recent support. We've had some great episodes, and we will catch you guys next time in episode number 19.